All right, it's Monster Monday time. I called a little bit of an audible here because Jillian or Johnny Banks sent me Silver Bullet on Blu-ray, and I just had to throw it up. I had Jack Frost planned tonight because it is before they were Stars Week in Killer Flicks. And but this still fits. This still fits because this is Corey Haim's. Like, this is one of his first films. This was before License to Drive. This was before he took off. So I feel like it fits. So let's get into the movie itself. Now, this is actually written by Stephen King, the screenplay, which is pretty rare. And we get this this opening wolf attack where the wolf, the werewolf knocks the guy's head off, and then we get a close-up of it, so it's like really good gore, and we get a close-up of the head, and like ants are crawling over it. Very, it reminds me a lot of Hereditary. If you've seen that movie, you know what I'm talking about. Hereditary, man. Whew, anytime I'm reminded of Hereditary, such a great film. That's one of those 50-50 films that comes out every year. There's that big, horror film that's being buzzed all around because of festivals that it's played at. Friggin' It Follows, The Babadook, The Witch. They all have that following, and then horror fans either just go in with these expectations, I love it, or I hate it, and it's just so 50-50. And Hereditary is definitely one of those films. I haven't talked about it in a while, but I'm looking forward to seeing it again because I just thought it was a damn masterpiece. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Hereditary. So Corey Haim and his sister here he's paralyzed from the waist down, and him and his buddy decide to play a little prank on his sister by holding a snake up as she comes out. And you can see that Corey Haim is just immediately regrets it. And his sister's laying there, and she's ripped up her pantyhose, and she's all super upset and hurt, and he's just like, oh no, I'm so sorry. And then the friend, of course, pushes it further, and she falls into the puddle. What a little dickhead. What a little fucking dickhead. And you can just tell, Corey Haim is genuinely sorry, and he is not having anything to do with this. He thought it would just be a funny little gag for her to scream. He did not expect it to go that far. And I think that really kind of establishes that first glimpse at where they're at in this film as brother and sister. And I like the ups and downs of their relationship, because it kind of starts on a low, and then it kind of moves back to not a high, but a moderate, they were okay again, and then they kind of were a little rocky, and then they end on a really high note. So I just like the progression of the relationship throughout this, and it really just ends strongly with them that's how this movie ends. Her being I told my brother I loved him. And, I couldn't say that really that much before this, but now I do. Now full on, from here on, him and I are we're close, we're inseparable. So I like that journey for brother and sister. And it kind of starts with that. What a little dickhead. That kid in the tree, man. I'm kind of glad he gets taken down. Why do I have that written down here? So they're bringing him back, and the sister's all pissed off, and they pull up to the house, and she's walking up, and the dad's grabbing groceries, and he's like, don't forget you have to help your brother. And I'm guessing this is just to make them get together so that they can resolve their issues or whatever. But I was sitting there really? You can't make her grab the groceries right now and you take him in. They're clearly super pissed off at each other. So I just found that to be kind of lame. I was like, just get the damn kid yourself. And yet again, as I said, the dynamics between the brother and the sister here, when he comes in and he feels really sorry and he puts the money on the counter and he's or on her nightstand, and he's like, will this buy you new pantyhose? And she's looks at him, and she kind of thinks about it, and she takes the $1.50, $1.49, but it's $1.50, and she slides the rest of the money. She could have took all the money, but they like each other. There's a love there, and we don't really get to see it in the opening, but it's there, and we finally get to see it come to full fruition at the end of the film. So as I said, I think there's a lot of great character moments in this. There's a lot of great family moments in this, from Gary Busey's, drunk crazy uncle and the brother and sister, just them all together really is I think, like, in addition, of course, like the werewolf being cool. There's some great directing in this film. There's a lot of good things about this. I'm not gonna say there isn't, but I think the thing that really worked the best for me, I guess, the reason that this film won me over and would now maybe take my second spot, is because I genuinely liked the characters and gave a shit about them and believed their chemistry and the connection between Corey Haim and Gary Busey, the uncle and the nephew, like all that worked so well. So yeah. And so this lady, she finds out she's pregnant. She goes to confront the guy, like, hey, like, this is your kid. He's like, hell no. And she goes home to murder herself. Like, can't get an abortion, but she's talking about like how God is going to punish her. She's going to go to hell for killing herself, but she just is so distraught at that moment that she doesn't care. And so the werewolf comes up and he kills her before she can kill herself. And that's brought up later in the movie when he's, having that confrontation with Corey Haim. And he's like trying to show what a little like martyr he is, that he, because Corey Haim sends him this really fucked up letter. Says like, why don't you kill yourself? Which kind of takes me back to Unfriended, which is actually still sitting here. I need to put these damn movies away. I have like a whole stack of them here, movies I've reviewed recently. But like when they tell Laura Barnes to kill herself, I'm like, man, you better watch out, Corey. That shit can go sideways. Good thing the internet ain't around. But I just thought that was funny. Like, kill yourself, like not like turn yourself in or anything like that. No, like, just kill yourself, okay? Do us all a favor and just blow your fucking head off. I thought that was really funny that was what a child sent to a priest. My God. Like, what if he was wrong? That would, try explaining that one. When I was a kid, I sent a fucking letter with like, the letters cut out from a magazine, like a total fucking serial killer, Unabomber kind of shit, to a priest and told him to kill himself. Oh my God, that would not go over well. But yeah, he's all gloating about the fact that like he can't kill himself because that would be suicide in the eyes of God, and that he would go to hell and this and that. But he saved the girl who was about to kill herself, and he feels like he saved her soul, which actually reminds me heavily of a script I once wrote. Hopefully that gets made one day. But I find that to be, of course, ironic, and I can't really rationalize what a psychopath is thinking. But like, he's totally fine with not only murdering the girl, but he thinks he's doing the right thing, but he's going to murder Corey Haim right there on the spot. So he's telling him how he's basically God's vessel and that he's saved this woman's soul, but then he's about to murder someone. But he was just talking about how if he committed suicide, that would be a sin and he'd go to hell. And it's like, but murder's okay? Like 2 different murders and one's a pregnant woman? Like, he's a little off in the head. The werewolf effects, the attacks, the gore, the way it moves, all that, the swamp fog scene where he's like coming up and he grabs the baseball bat that Lawrence Tierney has earlier in the movie. Awesome. Just fantastic. I love the werewolf effects in this. The werewolf looks, I don't know. He looks a little tame when he's on screen. He doesn't look terrifying. He looks almost like he's in a kid's movie, kind of. Not like a full-blown kid's movie, but he doesn't look as scary as something, as I said, like a freaking Dog Soldiers, or even the one in Bad Moon or American Werewolf in London. Like, those look very scary. This one looks more, I don't know, like a stuffed animal, I guess. But I still really like the effects. Like, I think they're really cool, and I love the werewolf in this. So I'm not putting it down by any means. I think they could have made it look a little more frightening, but that's just my opinion. Let's see. So we got Terry O'Quinn in this one, which I just watched Gillian Scholen. See, I keep them right here from Stepfather, and here we go, like 2 films in a row. We got some Stepfather alums. So I thought that was kind of funny. It's like 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon or something. And where are we? I love that the wheelchair that he builds him in this, like both of them are called the Silver Bullet, which is reference obviously to the bullet that ends up killing them. But I like that the Silver Bullet in this is the motorized wheelchair that he has made him. And that thing's so damn cool. I mean, what a great uncle. I mean, the guy is a drunk and he's constantly in and out of relationships and letting them down here and there, but he seems to genuinely love his nephew. Him and his sister don't seem to get along in the slightest, but once he sobers up, she does seem to warm up to him, and she even leaves him with her kids when they take off for whatever. So I did like that his sister wasn't just a total bitch to him, you've went way beyond, you're too far gone, I can't do this. He cleans up his act, and she's like, okay, you're good, you can come back to the family, which I thought was great. And the little girl that Corey Haim has a little crush with or whatever, her dad in this movie, that's another fantastic scene when the dad is he's watching wrestling, and he's it reminded me of Rodney Dangerfield in Natural Born Killers. Kill the fucking Indian. And then he goes out and he takes a shotgun filled with rock salt, and drunk ass hell goes out into this little shed and blind fires at a noise that he hears. He has a child in the house, and he's blind firing a shotgun while drunk at a noise. Wow, what a moron. But then the werewolf is stalking him like Jaws under the floorboards, and then pops up out of it, pulls him down, and impales him on this broken freaking piece of wood. Fantastic scene. I mean, that scene is freaking awesome. It's gory, it's tense, this movie's so well directed. This guy went off, and this is the only feature film he's done, and he's done 80 episodes of TV series. He's done so much TV work, and he's going to be directing an episode of Castle Rock, which is really cool to see that the Silver Bullet director is coming back to Stephen King after all these years to do Castle Rock. So I thought that was really neat when I saw that. This idiot in the bar wants to fist fight a cop in front of this freaking town. I don't know what times they live in or what town they live in, but punching a cop, yeah, that wouldn't go so well. And we actually get a kid who's killed in this movie. You don't see that very often, but he's a little shithead, so I don't really care. And we get a lynch mob that's put together after the cops can't do their job. Very Halloween 4. You don't have a police force. Yeah, and the guy is pushing the cop around, this and that, and then the guy comes out and he's just they killed my kid, we're going to get the motherfucker. And when they go out, I get the mentality, I get the lynch mob mentality when it comes to getting revenge on this killer. But while I was watching that scene, I was like, what exactly are they expecting to find? What are they looking for exactly? That was where I was kind of lost. I'm it's a town. You have to cover an entire town. You don't even, the guy could just break into anyone's house and kill them. And I get it. You're just you have no other options. You're trying anything. You're desperate, whatnot. But I was sitting there you don't even know, you have no idea what you're looking for. If they knew who the killer was, then I'd get that. I'd be there he is. I get, what are they going to do? Interrogate every person in town who isn't, how do they know the killer isn't part of their lynch mob? How do they know the killer isn't that dude who started the whole thing? How do they know it's not the dad who killed his own kid? I don't know what they think they're looking for, but I thought that scene was really silly to me because, and as I said, I'm not saying they wouldn't do that, and that's not realistic. I'm just sitting there in my head okay, if I was in that situation with them, I'd be like, so where are we going? And like they have quadrants where they're like they section it out, like you know, um, look around this area and whatever, be watch outs and or lookouts, and I'm just like, what are they looking for? A guy like just happens to be running around with fucking I don't know a chainsaw or something like I don't know. I thought that was really silly, but um, and I like how the Rev is out there and he's trying to stop them. And at first you're thinking like because you know who the killer is if you've seen this movie before, I have. At first you're thinking like, well, of course he doesn't want them to come after him, so he's trying to save his own skin. And I don't know, on this watch I was more believing like he didn't want them to go out there because he didn't want them to die. He didn't want to have to kill them. I'm sure he has memory of all of this when he gets in there. It's not like one where he wakes up and he's like, what happened? And as I said, that whole massacre in the swamp is fantastic. And or if that's what it is, but there's fog down there, so it's got me thinking of swamp. Maybe it isn't. But he picks up the bat and he's like beating them to death with it. And he brings the bat in for another kill later. His werewolf church dream that he has is pretty badass. You get a ton of werewolves in that. And the transformations in this are really good. In fact, I really liked the reverse transformation when he dies at the very end. I thought that was a kick-ass transformation. I don't think we give enough credit to the reverse, like him turning from a werewolf into a human again. That also can be extremely impressive, and I thought this one was excellent. And yeah, he builds him a motorcycle wheelchair, which, yeah, you definitely need a license for this. But this is 1985, man. They didn't give a shit about anything back then. But I was watching that. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he'd need a license. And then he takes off and comes back, which I would think he'd be freaking out. I thought the mom would come in and be like, where the fuck is my kid? And Gary Busey just doesn't seem to be all that concerned that he took off at like 50 miles per hour down a street as a child with no helmet and no idea how to actually drive this thing. But he comes back and then he sneaks out of the house, which he climbs down a lattice with just his arms, which is impressive. But then when he comes back after he shoots the werewolf in the eye with this rocket and everything, which is pretty badass, he comes back and climbs the lattice with just his arms. That's freaking crazy. I look like I'm jerking off, but he climbs the lattice. Yeah, I don't know. This is a rope. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. But the fact that this kid, man, he's Presidential Physical Fitness Award is in the bag. Now, the sister going around and looking for the guy missing an eye, I don't know, the music, the way it's directed, it's really, really tense. I thought that scene was just really well done, really well shot, really well executed. And I just felt the tension throughout. Every person seemed like a suspect. Even though, like, you don't know who it is at that point. So it's all this mystery and it's coming together. And then, like, once it's shown that they're ever... They make it pretty obvious. It's pretty heavy-handed once he's, like, got his back to her and she's given up. They make that pretty obvious. But when she's going around and looking at everybody, the way they shoot at the close-ups, the way they show, like, one eye, then the other, and then, like... It just makes these people who are nice and who aren't seem like suspects even after we confirm that they have both eyes. For a second we're still like suspicious of them, and I think that's just because of the overall tension of the scene and the way they utilize the music is really good. It's just fuck, it's like almost 2 a.m. and it's still like 100 degrees in this damn Jesus Christ. And let's see here. I think Jesus Christ, I already said almost all of this. I get so off track. I say so many things from here. And the fact that he can change anytime, I think that's really cool. Yet another script I wrote. I wrote that. I like that idea that a werewolf can change at any time. It's more of just like a choice. And then on a full moon, they can't help it. Like they have to, like what they say, like he becomes more wolfy. How's Wolfie doing? Wolfie's just fine, honey. Where are you? Your foster parents are dead. And it was really cool that I found out that Gary Busey did all of his own stunts. So when he's being thrown around in that living room into furniture and breaking shit and whatnot, that's him. And I was looking at it. That's kind of why I looked it up, because I was like, that looks like him. Like, did he do it? And he did. He did all of his own stunts. Pretty crazy. Gary Busey's a fucking crazy person. So that doesn't surprise me at all. I think that's about it. I was just, yeah, I really enjoyed this. Actually kind of reminded me of Bad Moon a little bit. There was a lot of similarities. Had a very similar feel to me. So I think that's also what helped it. But anyways, yeah, Jillian, thank you. Or Johnny, I never know what to say. Johnny, thank you for sending this to me. The Blu-ray itself is fine. It's one of those movies where it's like, it's so grainy that I think that's the best they can do with the transfer. And it's good. It's definitely better than the one I have, so I'm glad to have it. It's a cool ass thing. I got the reverse cover on here. So it's got this now instead of, like, you know, the other side of it, which was just this. So I like this because that's a cool ass shot right there. I like that poster a lot where he's holding the bat. But yeah, really fun rewatch. So that's it. Monster Monday is done. Now I can get to the Mission Impossibles before the new one, Fallout, which I'm so fucking excited for. All right, guys, good night.